The Israeli Prime Minister is due to take on Capitol Hill this Tuesday in his fight against a proposed nuclear peace treaty with Iran. Benjamin Netanyahu is due to address a rare joint session of Congress today in Washington, despite a threatened boycott by several Democrats. But yesterday, the Israeli Prime Minister was quick to try and calm criticism at another speech to America's biggest pro-Israel lobby.
The last thing that I would want is for Israel to become a partisan issue. And I regret that some people have misperceived my visit here this week as doing that. Israel has always been a bipartisan issue. Israel should always remain a bipartisan issue.
Now, the Obama administration has been distancing itself from Netanyahu's visit as it comes just 2 weeks ahead of a tight election in Israel where the prime minister will be fighting to keep his job. Our Jerusalem correspondent Gallagher Fenwick has more now on what Israelis think of this trip to the U.S.
Some of Israel's former top military brass are now part of the very diverse group of personalities who openly criticized their prime minister's trip to the U.S. Some 40 years ago, this reservist general was the Israeli premier's commanding officer in an elite army unit.
The problem is the way he thinks and not Netanyahu's personality. The entire Israeli right simply needs to change its perception of the issues. They need to adapt to the changes that took place in recent years.
Members of the prime minister's ruling Likud party support their leader's trip to the U.S. without any hesitation. However, they acknowledge that it comes at a price.
I think that today, if the price for saying the truth and for defending Israel is to be isolated, I will happily be isolated.
One Israeli academic tells us that by upsetting the White House, Netanyahu is gambling with his country's security.
If Netanyahu proves to be effective and is elected again as a prime minister, there may be a retribution. And this is dangerous.
Rarely has an Israeli prime minister's address to the American Congress been so controversial. In Jerusalem, it is the subject of heated debates over what its consequences may be. The Iranian nuclear program and relations between the U.S. and Israel are not the only stakes of this trip. Benjamin Netanyahu's own political future is also hanging in the balance. 2 weeks from now, Israeli voters will decide whether or not they want him to keep his job.